Hello students and welcome to G3 e-learning classes. As we have already done the first part of the lesson Lost Spring written by Anis Jung, in this video I am going to explain you the second part of the story. This story is about Mukesh, who wants to be a motor mechanic, but his destiny chooses for him to be a bangle maker. So let's start. I want to drive a car. Mukesh insists on being his own master. I will be a motor mechanic, he announces. In these lines, the boy Mukesh wants to be his own master and he wants to be a motor mechanic. Do you know anything about cars? I ask. Here, author asked him whether he knew anything about cars. I will learn to drive a car, he answers. Looking straight into my eyes, his dreams looms like a mirage amidst the dust of streets and that fill his town Firozabad, famous for its bangles. Every other family in Firozabad is engaged in making bangles. It is the center of India's glass blowing industry, where families have spent generations working around furnace, welding glass, making bangles for all the women in the land, it seems. Here author asked him whether he knew anything about cars, and the boy answered that he will learn how to drive, but his dream looms like a mirage. At Firozabad is a place where every other family is engaged in bangles making, and it seems that in this land every woman is indulged in bangle making, and it is the center of India's glass blowing industry. Mukesh family is among them. None of them know that it is illegal for children like him to work in the glass furnace with high temperatures in dingy cells without air and light, that the law, if enforced, could get him and all those 20,000 children out of the hot furnace where they slog their daylight hours, often losing the brightness of their eyes. Mukesh's eyes beam as he volunteers to take me home, which he proudly says is being rebuilt. We walk down stinking lanes chalked with garbage, past homes that remains hovel with crumbling walls, wobbly doors, no windows, crowded with families of humans and animals coexisting in a primeval state. See, in this paragraph, Mukesh family is one of them who does not know that working for a child in such kind of factories is illegal. Moreover, when it is dark cells without air and light, and how many children were working there? Yes, 20,000 children with an unbearable conditions, like where they slog means work hard, their daylight hours, and often losing the brightness of their eyes. One day, Mukesh took author to his home, and it has stinking lanes chalked with garbage. There were hovel houses. Hovel houses means small and dirty houses, and there were families who were living there like animals. He stops at the door of one such house, bangs a wobbly iron door with his foot and pushes it open. We enter a half-built shack. In one part of it, detached with dead grass, is a firewood stove over which sits a large vessel of sizzling spinach leaves. On the ground, in large aluminium platters, are more chopped vegetables. A frail young woman is cooking the evening meal for the whole family. Through eyes filled with smoke, she smiles. She is the wife of Mukesh, elder brother, not much older in years. She has begun to command respect as the Bahu, the daughter-in-law of the family. In this stanza, author describing the condition of Mukesh house, that how they are living in such a house. When author reached Mukesh house, Mukesh stopped at the door with his with his foot. He pushed the door open, then entered in the roughly built hut. In one part of hut there was dead grass and a firewood stove over which a large pot of sizzling spinach leaves was set, and the newly married woman. Veil means newly frail. Sorry, not veil. Frail means a newly married woman was preparing meal for the family. She was the wife of Mukesh, elder brother, whose eyes were filled with smoke, but still she was smiling at the author, and she is commanded the respect as a Bahu. Bahu means a daughter-in-law of the house. Already in charge of three men, her husband Mukesh and their father, when the older man enters, she gently withdraws behind the broken wall and brings her veil. Veil means, you can say, ghungat, closer to her face. As custom demands, daughter-in-law must veil their face before male elders. In this case, the elder is an improvised bangle maker. Despite long years of hard labor, first as a tailor, then a bangle maker, he has failed to renovate a house, send his two sons to school. All he has managed to do is teach them what he knows, the art of making bangles. That Bahu means that daughter-in-law. She was in charge of house and three men, and when the father-in-law entered the hut, she withdraws behind the broken wall. Her father-in-law was a tailor, then he became a bangle maker. Even in this work, he has failed to renovate his house and failed to send his both sons to school. All he has managed to do is what? He taught the art of making bangle to his both sons. It is his karma, his destiny, says Mukesh, grandmother, who has watched her own husband go blind with the dust from polishing the glass of bangles. Can a God-given lineage ever be broken? She implies, born in the caste of bangle makers, they have seen nothing but bangles. In the house, in the yard, in every other house, every other yard, every street in Firozabad, spirals of bangles, sunny gold, paddy green, blue, royal blue, pink, purple, every color born out of the seven colors of the rainbow, lie in mounds in unkempt yard, are piled on four-wheeled handcraft. On this, Mukesh grandmother said that it all was his karma. Mukesh grandmother, not mother, sorry, father, had become blind due to the polishing the glass bangles, but still their family believed that they had got this art of bangle making from God, and they had to carry on the tradition. There was everywhere in the street of Firozabad spiral of bangles of every color. In the dark hutments next to lines of flames of flickering oil lamps, everyone welding pieces of colored glass into circles of bangles. Pushed by young men along the narrow lanes of the shanty town, and in dark hutments next to lines of flame of flickering oil lamps, sit boys and girl with their father and mother, welding pieces of colored glass into circle of bangles. Their eyes are more adjusted to the dark than to the light outside. That is why they often end up losing their eyesight before they become adult. So, in the dark hutments next to the lines of flames of flickering oil lamps, everyone welding pieces of colored glass into circles of bangles. Their eyes are more adjusted to the dark. The narrator also met a young girl named Savita. Here, Savita, a young girl in a drab pink dress, sits alongside an elderly woman, soldering pieces of glass as her hands move mechanically like the tongue of the machines. I wonder if she knows the sensitivity of the bangles she helps make that symbolizes an Indian woman's suhag, auspiciousness in the marriage. Here, the narrator also met a young girl named Savita and sat alongside an elderly woman soldering pieces of glass who had also lost her eyesight. The narrator wondered if Savita knows that the bangles were sacred and good omen. The elderly woman complained. Now that like the old woman beside her who became one many years ago, she still has bangles on her wrist, but no light in her eyes. एक वक्त शेर भर खाना भी नहीं खाया. She says in a voice drained of joy. She has not enjoyed even one full meal in her entire lifetime. That's what she has wrapped her husband. An old man with a flowing beard says, I know nothing except bangles. All I have done is make a house for the family to live in. The narrator wondered if Savita knew that the bangles were sacred and good omen. The elderly women complained that they are so poor that they cannot eat enough, but still they are thankful that at least they have secured a shelter. The cry of not having money to do anything except carry on the business of making bangles, not even enough to eat, rings in every home. The young man echo the lament of their elders. Little has moved with time, it seems, in Firozabad. Years of mind-numbing toil have killed all initiative that and the ability of dream. Though they had been working hard for countless numbers of years, yet they were not able to take up any other job or pursue their dream. Why not organize yourselves into a cooperative? I ask a group of young men who have fallen into the vicious circle of middlemen who trap their fathers and forefathers. Even if we get organized, we are the ones who will be hauled up by the police, beaten and dragged to jail for doing something illegal. They say there is no leader among them, no one who could help them see things differently. Their fathers are as tired as they are. They talk endlessly in the spiral that moves from poverty to apathy to greed and to injustice. When the narrator suggested them to form a cooperative, she was told that if they dare to resist, they could be dragged and beaten up by the police in the jail, considering their acts unlawful. And their fathers are as tired as they are. They talk endlessly in a spiral that moves from poverty to apathy to greed and to injustice. Listening to them, I see two distinct worlds. One of the family caught in a web of poverty, burdened by the stigma of caste in which they are born. The other is vicious circle of the shukras and the middleman, the policemen, the keepers of law, the bureaucrats, and the politicians. Together, they have imposed the baggage on the child that he cannot put down. Before he is aware, he accepts it as naturally as his father. To do anything else would mean to dare, and daring is not part of his growing up. When I sense a flash of it in Mukesh, I am cheered. I want to be a motor mechanic. He repeats he will go to the garage and learn, but the garage is a long way from his home. I will walk, he insists. Do you also dream of flying a plane? He is suddenly silent. No, he says, staring at the ground. In his small murmur, there is an embarrassment that has not yet turned into forget. He is content to dream of cars that he sees hurtling down the streets of his town. Few aeroplanes fly over Firozabad. The writer envisioned that there were two separate worlds. One was of the family of Firozabad, and the other world consisted of a never-ending cycle of moneylenders, middlemen, policemen, law keepers, government officials, and the politicians. Cars were all that Mukesh had seen on the roads of his town, so his dreams were restricted to driving or repairing cars. Still, the writer was happy to sense that Mukesh had the spark to achieve his dream. So this is all about our chapter, my dear students. I hope you understand it well. Thank you so much.